So I want to speak to you how I went from folding clothes, riding my bicycle while it was raining as an Uber Eats delivery driver, to watching videos on how to make more money, because honestly, I was just tired of doing the same thing. I had all these visions of how much potential I had. I wanted to retire my parents, and I said, this ain't any way that I'm going to retire my parents. That was the truth. And I realized that money was freedom, and I was always finding ways to make more money, because I realized that I can't let my potential go to waste doing this. Like, this is the worst thing I can do. And I was always watching videos, and somehow to make money, I always needed money. And I just said to myself, how can I start improving my life today? Now, it seems so basic now that I've done it, but looking back, I wish I knew these 15 steps I'm going to give you today that you can start implementing and start investing in yourself. And this is uncommon advice. Everyone tells you, start that business, start this, start that. But if you're not the person capable of following through, your business is going to fail. You have to be the person that's able to overcome trials and tribulations, because that is what you will find. So the best way to do that is to overcome and control yourself. Then you can go out and try to control something else. So let me go straight into it. The first thing that you need to learn to control is your emotions. Because me growing up in South London, raised by my Colombian mother, and being around strong women, it made me very emotional and reactive. So whenever something didn't go my way, I'd be so upset, I was sulking, I would act based on that emotion. If I was happy, I would act based on that emotion. And emotions, their energies, emotions, volatile, they go up and down. So if you rely on those emotions, then guess what? You're going to be expending all of this energy and going nowhere. So I quickly realized that I need to keep this under control. So how do you do this? By showing yourself and having instant feedback that you can control them. How? The same way footballers train all of their life for a 90-minute match, you need to put yourself in a live training ground so you can have that 90 minutes match, which will be live throwing problems at you and time for you to show up. So you have to recreate same scenario, but same emotion, same difficulty, different scenario on purpose. So how do you do that? Control your morning. Remember this, to win at life, you have to win the day, because life is a compound of days. So to win the day, you have to win the morning. And how do you do that? Put the alarm at 5 a.m. And I used to think this is so stupid. Why would I have to wake up at 5 a.m. if I could just wake up at 10 a.m.? Like, now I can wake up at literally whatever time that I want. Yeah, I wake up at 4:45 every single day. Why? Because that teaches you self-control. Yes, it's a lot easier to wake up at a different time, but that's like life. Yes, it's a lot easier if you had money. Yes, it's a lot easier if you had other things, but you don't have it. So all you're doing is, when you hear that alarm sound, by the time you get up, you are just fighting against that emotion. And every time that you do get up, you have won and beat your emotion. Then that will translate into every other thing. Now, when you need to have that uncomfortable conversation, when you need to have to speak to that person, when your emotions are trying to fight you, you have shown yourself that you are stronger than your emotions. Because you are not your emotions, you are your identity. The second thing I want to talk about is getting in shape. This is so important for various reasons. Because when you look at yourself in the mirror and you are proud of the person that you see, then that removes self-doubt. The second thing is, this is a personal experience. I went to Colombia, and at that time I was posting content and I was kind of lost in life. And I remember there was a successful man. He was from America, in Colombia at that time, and he was at this gym. And there was like a group of like American guys that were just, one of them doing real estate, one of them doing this. And I never really had access to people like that. I say people like that because when I was growing up in South London, you always taught to like see there was a difference. They were on a pedestal. Then I realized we're all the same. We just do different things, and that different things that you do gives you that different outcome, which people view as on a different level. Now I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So he spoke to me, and I said, listen, I feel kind of lost in life. And he said, listen, if you want, meet me at this time, that place, and bring a pen and paper. And I went anyway. A quick takeaway that I got from that was, he said to me, do you know why I'm sitting down here with you today? And I said, why? And he said, because I could see that you have cuts on your knuckles, because I was doing boxing at the time. I could see you're in shape. I see you have discipline. Someone that can go through pain, who is consistent. Now, that's one thing I didn't realize. What he actually meant by that, and something I didn't understand. I used to tell myself, oh, when I'm rich and when I'm famous, I'm going to help everyone. Everyone's going to have access to my time. Money, tomorrow you can have $0. Tomorrow you can have $10 million. Time, that is very limited. And you don't even know how much time you have left, because God forbid I can die tomorrow. So before you can even help someone and try to give someone your time, they need to show you initiative that they are worth your time giving to them. Why? Because there's been so many times where someone says, help me, help that person. They feel motivated, then they give up. That is the biggest disrespect that you can give to someone, because they have given you something they'll never give back, yet you took it for granted. The third thing, take care of your image. Dress well. This is something that's so important, because I remember I used to walk around in hoodies. I used to dress like Central C, just like hoodies, caps, just my self-image was terrible. And the reason this is so important is think, oh, but Jeff Bezos wears this, but this guy wears that, but you're not Jeff Bezos. That's the difference. Until you don't need to depend on anyone else, that's why it's so important to dress well. Why? Because what is the image you are giving out to the world? Now, I'm going to give you a quick illustration. Imagine walking down the street at night. There's an elderly, a grandmom. She's a grandmom. She's walking down the street, and you're wearing a hoodie, a balaclava. Now, you could be the sweetest man in the earth, the sweetest lady on the earth, but guess what the other person in front of the grandmom's going to feel? She's going to feel fear, afraid. Why? Because your first impression matters. And that is the truth. We live in a world where your first impression matters. And especially if you're trying to get started and you don't have any money, you're trying to enter rooms and you're trying to have certain conversations with certain people, your first impression matters. You don't need to go out there, buy Gucci, Louis Vuitton. You can go to Primark, buy yourself a simple black t-shirt for £2.50, and that is already you taking care of your image. Take care of the way that you dress, the way that you smell, the way that you have. I'm going to get onto that point after. But it's so simple. If you don't know how to dress, go on Pinterest and you have so many inspirations and ideas on how to dress based on your skin tone. This goes on to the next thing. Hygiene. Hygiene is so important, and it sounds so basic, but there's so many people that go out there, they smell like shit, their hair looks like shit. And again, you can't be going out there and destroying people's noses. Like, you can't be walking around there and reeking the place, because what impression is that going to give? Terrible. It's terrible. So make sure you shower daily, brush your teeth daily, groom your hair. If you don't know what grooming your hair means, well, go on Pinterest again. What type of hairstyle is going to suit me? What type of image do I want to give to the world? These are very important things. It sounds basic, but guess what? I'm going to put it there because most people need this. Number 5, read daily. Is so important to read. The reason I tell you guys to read is because you need to have another perspective of life. I've grown up in South London. I've grown up with a negative mindset, scarcity mindset, where I was so afraid that only one person can win, that it's just me against the world. And then when you read books, I've got a book here, I've got books on the shelf, it helps you see a different perspective of the same thing. And the reason you read books is to help you better your own experience of life. Like, just think about it. This book, it probably took the author maybe 20 years to compose. So if you read 10 books, you've already got 200 years of experience in the short amount of time that it took for you to read this book. And you learn from people's mistakes. And that's why I'm giving you this video, so you can learn from my mistakes. So it helps you see a whole different perspective. And that's what most people lack. Number 6, become confident. And the way you become confident is by showing yourself evidence that you are who you say you are. I'm quoting Alex Hormozy in that one. And how do you do that? Never break your word. Just, you say you're going to do something, you end up doing it, and start small. It's all about the small things. Everyone thinks that confidence is making sure you're the most good looking person, you have the most money, you have the most this. That's far from it. I'm telling you this because I remember I went through my look maxing stage where I wanted to be the most good looking, the most this, and it just leaves you empty. What makes you feel fulfilled about yourself is following through with who you say you are. So if you tell yourself you're going to wake up early, you wake up early. You say you're going to do this, you do that. And then you start to feel very, very confident. Accustom yourself to doing uncomfortable things. Seek rejection. And the reason you seek rejection is because everyone's so afraid of getting rejected. Why? Because of their ego. Realize that it's not as bad as you think it is. Number 7. Learn how to communicate. So many people don't know how to communicate. Something so simple like eye contact. Whenever you see someone, a firm handshake, putting words together. And I'm not the best at communicating, but one thing that I do realize is that the world would be a better place if everyone just learned how to communicate. Someone might be feeling one thing, someone wants to express one thing, but they just don't know how to communicate. It's very simple. Repetition. Have conversations. Read books. Read out loud, and it will just help you get into the flow. But most people are so scared to communicate because they're not confident. They feel awkward. So yes, you can have all the information in the world, but if you don't know how to articulate and speak about it, then guess what? It's not going to be very beneficial. So that's one very important thing. Communication. And how do you do that? By practicing, speaking, go out there, have more conversations. If you can't go out there, go on the internet, connect with random people. There's apps, there's just so many solutions. Stop focusing on the problem and start finding solutions. Next one is cut out distractions. This is one of the biggest reasons why no one ever grows. People say, I want this. If we lived in a world where you could not speak, what would your actions be saying? Everyone says, I want to do this, I want to do that, I've got these big dreams, and then 2 years later they're in the same place. Why? Because they only spoke and they didn't do, but yet they're busy being distracted, thinking they're doing the thing, but you're not. Oh, I'm going to do more research, I'm going to watch more videos, I'm going to think about it, I'm going to do this. But that's not doing the thing. You know exactly what you're meant to do, but you're so afraid of making mistakes that will guarantee that you stay a failure. So cut out your distractions and go straight into action. That is the most important thing. Number 9, pain tolerance, consistency. So many people do the right things, but they don't do it long enough. It's like the person that goes to the gym, you're lifting the weights correctly, but you're impatient. Consistency is key. Get used to doing the monotonous, but guess what happens? It starts to feel painful. I feel like I'm wasting all of this time. I'm putting so much effort in. I'm not seeing any results. Then you give up, and that guarantees you'll never see results. That's why you have to make sure that you're on the right vehicle and you keep on going, which is why I always say get in shape is the best form of evidence that you can give yourself that things take time to build. Rome wasn't built in a day. These cliche sayings, yet no one ever follows through with them. Very simple, and I want you guys to do the same. The next one, I think this is 10 or 11, change your environment. Your environment is super important and it dictates who you are. I used to be in South London where everyone talk about, I want Lambos, I want this life, I want that. And no one ever do it. Everyone, I want to get in shape, I want to do this, New Year's resolution, this is going to be my year. And 10 years have passed and it still hasn't been their year. Why? Because you're around people who talk and don't do. This is one of the worst things that you can be around, because whenever you try to exert yourself, it's going to be very uncomfortable for you to change. You're going to have to do things completely different, because to become someone who you've never been, you have to do things that you've never done, and it's going to feel very uncomfortable. And guess what? You're going to have doubts. A lot of the times you're going to feel like you're a failure. A lot of times you're going to feel like you're lost, because if you knew exactly what to do, you would have done it by now, but you haven't. So it's going to be very hard and unpredictable. And that's when you're around people that will either tell you, take it easy, it's all right, don't worry. Why? Because you're around people that don't hold themselves accountable. So how can they hold you accountable? You know what you want, and you are miserable because you're in that life that you don't want to live, yet you want that life, and people around you are not motivating you. You're around people that have never done it before, so you're thinking, fuck, am I being delusional right now? Am I ever going to achieve this goal? That's why you need to change your environment with people that keep you accountable, that people that make you uncomfortable because they care about your growth. And you might not be able to change country straight away. You might not be able to get rid of all your friends. I'm not telling you to get rid of all your friends, but most of the time, the friends that you have, would you want to be like them? No. So the people that you're around all of the time, you are highly influenced. They say, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. It's the truth. So what you have to do is start listening to videos like this, listen to podcasts, listen to people that you're inspired by. And one of the best advice I can give you, actually, and it helped me a lot, was don't listen to more than 3 people. Find 3 people that you highly resonate with and just listen to them. Because what ends up happening is you try to get so much advice from so many different people that you have just all of this information. Then you have paralysis by analysis because you don't know what to do, because this person does that. One person says wake up 5 a.m. The other person says don't wake up at 5 a.m. The person says go to the gym. The other person says don't go to the gym. They're both successful. So now you have this cloud of just so much clutter that it just freezes you. That's why listen to 2 to 3 people and just listen to them, and don't listen to anyone else, and keep on pushing forward. That's the best advice I can give you. Number 11 or number 12, I think, I don't know which one we're on right now, is seek mentors. That's one of the best things that could have ever happened to me. So I've met my first ever mentor in Colombia, the one I speak to today, Thomas. If you're watching this video, I love you. I went out, got my second mentor when I came back from Colombia. And that's why I say when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I got my second ever mentor when I came back, and he showed me how to become very disciplined, how to start creating content, how to create a personal brand, because I honestly didn't have any idea. And that led me to find my other mentor, which helped me find the systems and create my personal coaching business, which I live off today, and make an impact around the world. And that's exactly what I wanted, because before I was posting content on the internet, but I had no structure, and I finally found my structure. Why? Because I had mentors, people that I would look up to. There's so much information out there, but the only thing that you need to do is, as much as you need information, you need application. That's the only thing that's going to change your life. The next one, learn a high income skill. Most people want a crazy outcome without giving anything. Understand you need to be able to leverage yourself. And before, I used to have this big problem. I want to make a lot of money, but how? You need to be realistic with yourself, and we live in this world where, all right, how can I make more money? I need to solve bigger problems. And now we live in a digital era. You're watching content. The world is going towards a content world. Learn how to create content. That's exactly what I done. Was it quick? No, but you have to drop your ego and know when you have to pivot, when you have to adapt, when you have to do things differently, and it's uncomfortable. But that's the only way you can grow. That leading on, start a personal brand. You don't need money to start a personal brand. And what is a personal brand? A personal brand is you just on an online platform. What are your values, interests, and you share that area of knowledge, the one that you're learning, that high income skill, and you post it on your personal brand. And why? Because everyone tries to have this offer, have this. But when you have an online presence and it's a personal brand, that's where you stand out, because there are so many different people, but there's only one you, and people relate to you the same way you relate to me, and that's when you build a connection, and that's when that's when your vibe attracts your tribe, and that is more than enough for you to get started, build connections. Because why? Because you're creating connections passively. The saying says, the more hands you shake, the more money you make, and you are virtually shaking hands while you sleep on a grand scheme of things. If you were to go out and shake hands, you're probably shaking, I don't know, probably 100 hands max in a day. But if you have an online platform, you can shake millions or even billions of people's hands overnight. It's crazy. The next one, I think this is 14. Learn to set boundaries. Boundaries are so important. Learn the art of saying no. But the reason most people don't know how to say no is because they don't know how to say no to themselves. Oh, I shouldn't eat this cheeseburger. I know I shouldn't. I'm just going to do it. So how do you expect to say no to anyone else? Just remember, with every no is a greater yes to something that you truly want. Law of exposure. Learn to expose yourself to things that you want, the life that you want. And this is one of the biggest game changers for me since I've started to travel. And one of the biggest eye-openers for me is when I went to China. I got invited by the Chinese government because of my content. And I was around 14 of like the biggest creators in South America. And I was around people that, and I thought at the time my ego was like, yeah, I'm the biggest creator here, whatever. I was the smallest creator. There was people that had like 12 million followers, 8 million subscribers. And I learned so much about them. And then I started to realize that what I wanted is what they had, so I had to do what they were doing, and it just exposed me to how they were working. And there was one point that I would always remember. I was so tired and I didn't want to post content, and the ones that had the results that I wanted, they did not stop. They were constantly creating content. They kept on going. I said, this is the standard, this is the level. And one thing that they told me was, don't care about the vanity metrics, don't care about the likes, don't care about the views, don't care about the follows. Focus on the work, the action that's going to give you that outcome. And ever since I implemented that small thing, just in the space of 2 months, I went from 100,000 followers to 356,000 followers. So it works. Listen to the people that you want to be like. Listen to the people that you are admired by, and don't listen to the critiques. Why? Because people that criticize you, you don't admire them. So why on earth would you ever listen to them? They don't have the results that you want. So don't ever listen to someone who doesn't have the results that you want in the area of advice they're trying to give. I think that was 15, and that's just something that I wanted to cover. Things that you can do today. Now, what does this do? This ends up creating character. And with the character it creates, then that is a who. And that will lead you to find other things. Because I want you to imagine what you just done now. If you follow through with everything that I've given you, it's like building a house. Now imagine a house, it's got broken doors, broken windows, and a broken roof. Now you might not be able to fix everything at once. Imagine the broken roof is the character, the person that you're fixing. You're fixing that now. Now the roof is the money. And everyone wants to fix everything in one go, then they feel overwhelmed. Now once you fix the doors and the roofs, now the only thing that you have to fix is the roof. You will find a way to fix it because you've shown yourself you can fix everything else. Then you start to ask yourself questions. That's exactly how it led me from creating content. I had no idea what I was doing to now going viral. I finally learned how to go viral, to now getting my mentor who showed me how to monetize and create a personal brand and share my area of knowledge and help people around the world. Why? Because I did not stop searching. Like the Bible says, there's a scripture that says, Matthew 7:7, seek and you shall find. Very simple. But once you're the person who can do that, then you'll find everything come towards you. So that being said, if you like this video, put it down in the comment section below. What was your biggest takeaway? If you like these type of videos, let me know. I highly appreciate it. Screen record this, share it on your story so I can thank you personally. That being said, if you haven't already subscribed, like, and all of that good stuff, that is you are out.